he found out I was sneaking food because we had bought a big amount of chocolate bars for our wedding. He went to go, get them for some reason one day, and he noticed there was a significant amount of them missing. And, he asked me about them. I ended up having to say it was because I've been sneaking them and eating them when you weren't looking. I was in the basement in the bathroom, and I was putting a bunch of mini chocolate bar wrappers inside of a paper towel, and I was shoving it at the bottom of the garbage pail so that no one could find it. And I was thinking to myself, I'm doing it again. I'm hiding food from my husband. Why am I doing this? And it hadn't been the first time. I'd been doing it for a while. Anytime that he would go in the shower or have the radio really loud in another part of the house, I would, make sure it was really loud so it would muffle the sounds of all the food that I was sneaking and hiding. Kyle and I, my husband, we were in the middle of our weight loss journey. We're actually planning our wedding, but we had been together for 7 years, so I already considered him my husband. We had both lost 100 pounds, but we wanted to speed the process up for the wedding, so we took away treats. And we had bought a ton of mini chocolate bars for our candy bar that we were having at our wedding. Because I had been denying myself for so long, I started sneaking the chocolate bars to the point where we had almost none left for the wedding because I had been sneaking them night after night when Kyle wasn't looking. And then I'd be hiding the wrappers all over the house in garbage pails at the very bottom so that he wouldn't find out. I was so ashamed of myself. And even though I know he's my best friend, we're soulmates, he loves me, he would never judge me, I was ashamed. We had been going through the weight loss journey together. We made a pact to lose the weight together, and I couldn't tell him. I hadn't done it in so long, hide food, but it was so easy to start back up again because I had done it most of my life. I started using food to cope and hiding it when I was 10 years old. Because of a traumatic childhood, it was the only way I felt that I had control was to sneak and hide food and use it sort of as medicine. I remember one of the first memories I have is going in my room at 10 with a can of pop and using a sweatshirt to muffle the sound so that, my parents wouldn't know that I was sneaking half a case of pop and drinking it in my room when they were asleep. And I started doing that with food, bags of chips, and, anything that I could get my hands on when people were sleeping in my house. I would sneak it in my room and muffle the sounds with sweatshirts and things, trying to make sure nobody would hear me or see me eating the food. That caused, I was already struggling with my weight at 10, but the sneaking the food and eating it every night, big amounts, was causing me a lot of weight gain. And I started gaining more and more weight. And I became more and more ashamed to the point where I wouldn't really eat in public because I was so embarrassed of the amount of food I would need to eat to cope that I would have to do it in private. And that just kept my sneaking the food going all the way into my teens and my 20s, and my weight kept increasing and increasing. And when Kyle and I both hit our heaviest weights, we had both been doing it. When we were dating, we had been sneaking food and dealing with emotional eating separately. And then together, we kind of became codependent and got a little more, we got more heavy and sunk deeper into the emotional eating. But then Kyle hit 375 pounds as heaviest weight, and me 275. And we knew we needed to change because our lives were at risk. Our weight was causing us serious health problems. So we did start changing, but it was still really difficult, and I was still really ashamed. And I was using the food in order to not deal with things from my childhood. And I was still so embarrassed. My whole life, people around me, my friends, my family, my mom, my stepdad, they all tried to help. I felt like I got both loving help, but also judgment. I got a mix, but it didn't really matter. Even the most loving comments and help couldn't have helped me at that point. My stepdad, what he did, he discovered the pop. And he came in one day, and I was drinking the pop that I had snuck into my room. And he stood there over me, and he looked at me and he said, "I know what you're doing. I can still hear the pop. I know you're sneaking pop." I felt at the time like he was judging me. Now that I look back, I realized like he was trying to help, but he didn't know how. And the way it came out, it seemed like he was judging me. And I was so ashamed and embarrassed. It made me sneak more, and it wasn't his fault. I know he meant well. And I complained, and I was so like embarrassed all the time. I would say like, I want to lose weight, but I can't. One day my mom said, Nick, why don't you just eat less? So it got so bad, I felt like I couldn't hide the food at home anymore. So I started going to drive-thrus. I was so ashamed and so embarrassed, and I thought that everyone was judging me, that I started hiding it from strangers at the drive-thrus. I would go to this one plaza that had 4 different drive-thrus, and I would go and order 1 or 2 combos at every drive-thru, usually 2, because I wanted people to think that I was ordering it for more than just me. And I would always order 2 drinks because I was hoping that that would make people think that I wasn't eating all the food. And then I would go and park at a really far area where nobody was around. I would eat it all. I would hide it in a grocery bag, and I would put it in a dumpster before I would go anywhere else or home so that nobody would know what I was doing. So I finally realized I couldn't do it on my own. I needed help. And I went and I got therapy for my emotional eating. And in that, I learned something very valuable that I keep with me even now. And that was, secrets keep you sick. Anytime that I hid, what I was doing, I was ashamed and I kept it inside, it just made it worse. And so I approached Kyle on that. And I said, this is what I learned. And it's really helping me. Like, it's actually better to talk it out and get it out. It felt like such a release, like literally weight off my shoulders. And we started talking to each other about it.
It was a relief that you told me, because I was doing it too in secret. And we both didn't know because we weren't talking about it.
You think that everyone is judging you when there are people around you that love you and are willing to hear it. You just have to say, hey, can I just tell you something without you judging me, with you just listening? And so we started doing that for each other, and we really started working through it. One of the biggest things that we discovered was why we were sneaking the food was we labeled food good and bad, healthy, not healthy. And yes, like some foods are more nutritious than others, but what we were doing was every time that we ate a food that we labeled as unhealthy or bad, we labeled ourselves bad. And so anytime that I wanted ice cream, pizza, French fries, I would hide it because I was ashamed and I thought it made me bad and I felt bad for eating it. And so that was what we were doing. We basically had to legalize all food and allow ourselves to say, hey, I'm craving this. It's okay to eat it, and talk about it and say, hey, I feel the need to do this right now.
When we look back at it, we weren't hiding strawberries, tuna, broccoli. We were hiding chocolate bars, pizza, ice cream.
Yeah, food that we thought was bad.
And what do you do with bad things? In this society, you're taught to hide them.
Yes, and that's what we were doing. Me, hiding the chocolate bars because I thought it was bad. Hiding the pop because I was told, Nicole, don't drink too much pop. Then we realized, like, talking about it and stopping the labeling of food. And of course, choosing a balanced diet, choosing mostly foods that are more nutritious, but leaving all food on the table, because all food is cool at certain parts in your life, in your day. You're allowed to enjoy all food and not feel bad about it. Once we stopped labeling the food, that really kind of set us free. And if you're someone who's struggling, like, don't keep it inside. Find somebody that you trust and talk to them. Get it out, write it down, whatever you need to do, but don't keep it inside, because it makes it worse. There is a lot of weight loss and fitness industry people right now that, they'll go through the grocery store and they'll say, this is bad, this is bad, this is not healthy, only eat pure, organic, don't eat the sweetener, drink Diet Pop. Like, they'll label all these things bad and unhealthy, and it's causing more and more issues with the emotional eating and people to feel bad and guilty. Like, there's so many more labels on food now. And just remember, like, don't copy and listen to everything you hear. Trust your own gut. And if you like something, if something works for you, follow what you need to do for your own body. Don't listen to other people.
You got to pick your battles, especially with inflation. Like, you see these people walk through the grocery store. Don't eat anything not grass-fed, not organic. Like,
sometimes you just can't afford it.
Sometimes you can't afford it. Sometimes you're not a robot.
And sometimes maybe you don't want to eat kale or only grass-fed beef and you want French fries and a hamburger, and that's okay. And so anyone that's struggling, don't keep it inside. Allow yourself to not label the food and, choose what works for you, what's right for you, and take the pressure off yourself. I felt this massive pressure to get the help and do it so quick. You can take small steps and, when you're comfortable, move forward with another small step. That's how Kyle and I did it. And if anybody is watching right now that has a loved one or, a friend, whatever, that's struggling with emotional eating or weight or both, and you don't know how to help them, what I appreciate now when I still struggle and what I appreciated when I was in the middle of my big struggle was someone non-judgmental that could just be there and love me through it. And if you want to say something, you could always just say I know you're struggling and I love you, and I might not understand exactly what you're going through, but just know that I'm here and you can come to me and I'm not going to judge you and I'm going to help you however you need. And then they know that they can come to you, you won't judge them, you'll listen, and that's the best way that you can help someone struggling, because we're already struggling so much and we think that it's hopeless. So knowing that somebody's not going to judge us, it's really appreciated. I hope that this helps anyone struggling. Kyle and I, we've been through it. We really get it. We love you. If you want to know exactly what I ate to lose the weight, I lost 130 pounds, kept it off for 8 years. I have weight loss ebooks. Code Nicole will save you 10%. I also have HTLT subs, or HODLT as I like to call it. Code Nicole will save you 10% off the supplements. And if you like this vid, give it a thumbsy up. It'll help get it shared out for the old algorithm so that other people can see it and maybe get some help from it too. I love you guys. I'll catch you in the next vid, sweethearts. Be gentle on yourself. You're worth it. Don't keep it in, honey. Share it. Leave it in the comments if you need to. We always read them. We can't always answer them, but we're always there and we get it. We love you. I'll see ya, sweetheart.
See ya.
Bye. Remember, the friends, that weight loss isn't just about the number on the scale. It's also about here and here. Heart and mindset. Fight through it. You can do it. Don't give up.